Hi, everyone. My name is Lydia Martinez. I am the founder and CEO of L Marketing and Events, and I'm here today with a very dear friend of mine, Dianna Totland. How are you today, Dianna? Yes, indeed. Um, Great. So, Dianna and I have known each other for a really long time.
Yes.
What are we going on? Maybe 15 years?
Yeah, it's a good anniversary.
Yeah.
That you
For sure. So, Dianna and I worked together when I was the marketer and event planner for Whole Foods Market, and she was one of my graphic designers that helped me with the overall look of the store, all the hand-drawn chalkboards, the creative look. And so, Dianna, talk to us a little bit about how you got into that role.
yeah, so growing up I've always been really into art and doing something crafty, and so going to school, just naturally I went into graphic design. And when I was working at Whole Foods, there was the opportunity where I got to kind of work part-time and assist the graphic designer there, where I got to work with you, Lydia, and learn more about marketing and just continue building my love and founding passion for graphic design, branding, just anything visual is what I'm really passionate about. And I love helping companies do.
So, one of the things that I love about Diana is that she brings a very, very practical side to the graphic design. Um, and she also has a really, really creative side to her. So, those of you that have not worked with a graphic designer or a graphic artist before, a lot of them think artist first. And so they struggle with things like deadlines, staying on point or on brief. Um, like they really truly are artists in their mind, and they have a hard time or take it very personally when, for example, a client might say, "I hate that." uh, but the thing that I love about Diana is she brings that level of creativity and artistry to the graphic design, but also like you can hit deadlines, you can hear hard feedback from a client, and you can take that and incorporate it without taking it personally. So, talk a little bit about how important that kind of right brain, left brain thing is for great graphic design and branding.
Definitely, just like any sort of person that finds himself in more creative field, whether that's being a cake decorator or um, which I happen to have done also. It's not about what you personally want. You'll give like your a professional idea as to like how you see designs developing into a brand, but essentially it's the client's decision. And so growing, just like thicker skin, because it's not about whether I'm right or so it's about getting to the point where the client's happy and it's solving their problem.
Yeah. So, let's talk about rebranding specifically. So, I know that there have been times in the past where um, I did a quickie logo for something and I just whipped it together myself, and I'm not a designer. And then I had to go back and fix it later. Or as a business owner, sometimes you start out with a very basic logo and you realize 2 or 3 years down the road, it's not serving you. Or you're a really established company and you're pivoting and changing the direction of your company. And the best way to inform that and inform your customers is with a rebrand. So, talk a little bit about why it is that sometimes companies need a rebrand or are looking for a brand refresh.
Yeah, when thinking that you want to go into down the road of a rebrand, you really want to take in consideration a couple different things, like who is your target market or audience right now, and who are you pivoting to a new market audience that maybe this your logo isn't really connecting with that audience, or really telling the story of your services. Also, Are you changing like locations? Just lots of things to think about. Like, do you have a new voice that your company's like, we don't want to be perceived this way any longer? So there's a lot of things to be considered as far as rebrand, but know that there's a lot of like important steps into that as well. Is doing some research as to who is your target market and audience. What are you trying to convey? How do you want to be perceived? And we have a lot. Lydia and I Lydia does a great job at like outlining questions. And so whether or not you think you know, the questions kind of help you like discover who it is that your brand is for you and for everyone else. So
Well, and thinking about a brand is so much more than just a logo. It is the feeling that you want people to associate with your business or your brand. It is it almost feels like like a flavor of your business. Going back to your cake analogy, sometimes it might be that you're going from a chocolate cake to a vanilla cake. Or you need to add in sprinkles, you need to add in a dash more fun or playfulness into your logo because it's too stodgy right now. Or maybe your logo's confusing. It doesn't tell your brand story. Maybe you didn't realize that your logo's a little bit dirty subliminally. We have run into that before, where people were associating things with a customer's logo that was not what was intended.
Right.
So how do you take all of that, Dianna, all those things, thinking about who's the customer, what's the feeling, what's the flavor, how do you want people to associate with a brand, and how do you translate that into different concepts for a rebrand?
Yeah, so a brand is definitely it's an identity. So it's a living, breathing thing. So when I go into it, I kind of hit the logo or come up with different ideas, like really thinking like we'll get really obvious with like the concept and the icons, but then we'll go like a little bit skewed and a little bit like a little bit out there, just coming up with different ideas. That way we can maybe we'll find different things that we didn't know, or kind of discover elements that we're liking or disliking. And so I just collecting a lot of research and a lot of different options, and then we'll refine those until we're down to the one that's speaking to the client. And we like to deliver lots of different options for layouts of logos, icons, patterns. Just it's an identity, so you're going to get the entire package of black logo, white logo, grayscale, full color, one color. So lots of different things that maybe a lot of clients don't think about that are essential when you hit that wall and you realize that you need your logo, or you just need the icon, or maybe you need some wallpaper. So definitely just thinking of the overall spectrum of how this brand identity is going to be living and breathing out in the world.
Prime example right up in the corner there is the L marketing logo, the typewriter, and that's just the icon just on itself on a clear background so that we can lay it over this video. So Dianna, you and I were in a design meeting, a brand design meeting just the other day with a client. They're coming up with a brand new concept. We're not going to say what it is just yet, but we had 7 different options. And as we were talking through things with them, one of the things they like were tiptoeing around was, I kind of just don't like this one. I mean, I guess I kind of like this one little element of it. And one of the things I said was like, if you don't like it, let's not try and fix it and make you like it. Let's just say that's not it and go with your gut feeling and eliminate it right off the bat. So talk about other things that people can look at, either eliminating, keeping as they're looking at a rebrand.
I think what's important when meeting with a graphic designer is kind of giving us a high level of keywords or things that you want to see as an option for your logo. Because a lot of the times, like maybe we'll marry the two ideas. And so it'll be like, this icon is really like, I don't know, a chicken and an egg. I don't know. So you're combining, you have two different visuals really in one. So, yeah, I think it's really important to just communicate what you're liking and what you're not liking, because that's also important. You're not going to hurt my feelings or Lydia's feelings. Like that's part of our job. And we go through revisions all the time. And really, it just gets us there to the end result a lot faster and get you your deliverables. So,
Yeah. And I think one of the key things that you said that's so critical is like, be honest and tell us what you're thinking and feeling. Because you're not going to hurt our feelings. We had one client, we were doing an entire restaurant brand package for this particular client. And we got all the way down to a final round. Like we had finalized the logo, we are getting ready for deliverables. And then she pulled us aside and said, I have to tell you guys something. I hate this.
yeah.
Where she just felt uncomfortable actually coming out and saying it. So we like went down this path of a specific concept that everyone in the room really loved, but she actually hated it. And so we had to essentially start from scratch and come up with a brand new concept. Not a problem. But think of the time that we could have saved if she'd just been really honest right at the beginning and said, no, I just hate this thing. That's okay. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
Right. Yeah. And I know it can feel really uncomfortable to kind of say that to some, to people that have been working, 2 weeks to present something to you, and understandably. But again, we'll get there quicker and faster, and we'll get to the end result that you're really, because maybe you're not sure what you're looking for. So I think just kind of honing down what it is that you're wanting. And if you don't know, let us know. Give us a couple ideas, and we will shoot for the stars and try to find it. So,
the other thing that I think happens so often with a rebrand is we'll end up with things in front of a client that they had never considered before, that they then end up loving. And so that's something else that I think is really fun about the creative process, is putting something out there that maybe wasn't even on the radar. And then it ends up being like the one. Talk about an example you might have of that.
Let's see. Well, so we did that bakery logo recently, and he really liked the direction we were going. There was another idea I had that I didn't like whip up immediately to him because it wasn't what he essentially told us in the briefing. But after
he told us no bakery symbolism. He's like, I don't want rolling pins. I don't want cute pastries.
But do you, so sometimes it's I don't know. Sometimes I can kind of pick up, some body language and vibes. It's a little bit harder virtually, but you can kind of pick up some subtle. So in doing research, I just kind of had some ideas, but never actually presented them. But when he came back and was like, what are some other ideas? And I was like, here are some that I didn't show you in the brief. And so, and then one of those just, it wasn't part of his actual logo, but it definitely just is another element that we're using throughout. And it looks fantastic. I love the way it turned out. And we married the logo and this icon, and he gets to kind of play around with both, and it worked out really well.
Yeah.
It was a little different in the way that we like went about it, but the client's happy and it looked really great. So
it looked so cute. It's this adorable little croissant that we just rendered in a whole bunch of different colors within his palette, and it, like, he's using it as like wallpaper and all kinds of fun things. And it's very, very playful, while the rest of his logo has like a touch of sophistication, almost a monogram feel to it. So yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
Do you have any other tips for people working with a graphic designer or looking to do a rebrand?
Let's see. I guess kind of going into what you kind of plan on using your logo mainly for can also really, like, if you're more of a, you want it more on clothing and stuff like that, just that way we know, like, down the road, like how to work in the logo, because sometimes a lot of details can be a little tricky. But yeah, just don't be afraid to kind of tell us how, like, what your ideas are, and give us a direction. And yeah, because we love exploring different options, colors, research. Yeah, so.
And there's a lot of thought and care and kind of technical, like technical things that go into that research. And so we loved kind of taking that care of that for people. Well, Dianna, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It's always a delight chatting with you.
Thank you. It was great.
And if you are needing help with logo design or rebrand or a brand refresh or designing additional elements to go with your existing logo, please do reach out. We'd love to take care of you. Have a good day, everybody.